Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is a T92 HMC. It's the Tier 10 American SPG. It's located on the westbourne of Sand River, and this one is under the command of ProvoBob of 1AR. And all we can see is he's got a camo net as one of his equipment slots. I guess that's all he's got at the moment, but well, he'll fill us in if there's anything extra. Okay, the T92 is made from a Pershing hull. It's been specially lengthened because, of course, it did actually have one extra road wheel because, of course, it's such a big, heavy howitzer. 24 centimeters. It's capable of doing 1100 alpha with the HE rounds. And he's looking at the moment at an EBR. Now, I've never seen an EBR taken out with the 24 centimeter, although with a, it starts of a battle, but I have seen other RTs do that. Now, he aimed. I'm not sure if he got that one in, but plenty of targets over on the south side of the map. Now, the thing about this RT is you only get 16 rounds to play with. Very little. Of course, you get less ammunition if you're in one of the German top tier Arties, but 16 rounds is really not enough. And there's been plenty of times I've played my T92 and I've run out of shells right at the end of the game. So yes, it can happen too easily, I'm afraid. Now, ProvoBob is down in Australia, and you can see a kangaroo mark on the side of his Arty. Always a place I'd love to go visit. So many places in Australia I'd love to see. Oh, he got that one on the engine bay. The Conqueror is so tough, though. It took that with only 407 hit points of damage. But he did get some stun assists afterwards. Now, they didn't build many of this RC. Only 5 in total. They didn't get a chance to build any more because the war ended before they could actually use them. They did build other RTs which were based on the same hull with an 8-inch howitzer, and that became known as the T93 HMC, not howitzer motor carriage, but the actual gun motor carriage. Well, this is interesting because we've got a number of tanks here all coming up together at the same time. Oh, and he gets another engine bay shot, and this time round it's 431 on the IS-7. So if you did get penetrations with this RT, yes, you would certainly get a lot of damage. Not very quickly, because it does take a while to load. It's a big, heavy gun. In fact, it has a crew and 2 trucks carrying all the ammunition and everything else connected with the vehicle. The commander and the driver and the driver's mate are actually in the main vehicle, but everyone else has to go in the trucks. That was a direct shot in the face of the Object 780. Yes, the standard reload with this RT is actually 46.98 seconds. Yeah, it's a huge length of time. 39.74 is ProvoBob, and he's got 12 rounds left. Now, for some strange reason, he's actually using the manual fire extinguisher instead of using food on the equipment stock. Normally, I'd certainly have a can of Coca-Cola, or on the can, a whole crate of Coca-Cola. Again, that one hit the ridgeline, but he still gets the stun, and he got the stun assist off that one as well. Very important to speed up the reload, so that's why it's such a good idea to carry the Coca-Cola, the premium consumable. And the Concept 1B is now down. Now, it appears that he doesn't have the communications expert yet. That would also speed up the reload. And he's got a 268 standing a little further back. That would have been a good target. Instead, he's getting a request to actually shoot at the IS-7. There's Quickie Baby's ramp. It became known as Quickie Baby's ramp because, of course, he'd always go to it in the assault games and spot the enemy tanks as they suddenly appeared in front of him. And then he could use that ramp to go up and down and take out the enemy and then pull back to reload. I remember at the time he was flogging the CDC as a very good tank. Of course, the CDC is not a very good tank. In fact, it's classed as a medium tank, a French medium, but it's actually a tank destroyer. Yes. Less said about the CDC, the Char de Chasseur, the better. Lined up, rounds out. Long flight time. It actually went slightly to the right. He's still doing very well, though. The thing about this Arty, though, is if you're constantly outside the vehicle, supposedly looking at the enemy tanks and how they're performing, you can accidentally hit the reverse key or the forward key and be actually moving when you're actually aiming at the enemy. You have to look at the reticule and see if is it moving about, is it jiggling a little. That might be a sign that it's in motion. And you'd be surprised at the number of expert Arty players who accidentally leave their vehicle in motion, and then all of a sudden they find out that, yes, when they were aiming at an enemy, and that enemy kept moving all over the spy shop, then they suddenly realize, oh, I'm actually in motion. I've even heard of some Arty players going over a ridgeline and falling to their, not to their deaths, but certainly finding themselves up against the wall and they can't shoot, or certainly finding themselves fallen into a trench where they didn't expect. That one wasn't a good one. And I think it wasn't a good one, mainly down to the fact, obviously, that I think the enemy have moved a little. Oh, now that IS-7 is coming up the trench, or the riverbed. What is it you like about the desert? General disturbance. Well, it's clean. I think you know which film I'm referring to. I saw it again just recently. It's my most favourite film, actually, of all time. And I've watched it, well, it must be in the thousands of times now that I've seen this film. And every time I watch it, I find something new in the film that I didn't see before. Of course, many of you will actually know, but those who don't know, obviously it's Lawrence of Arabia. I also saw a few documentaries recently where Peter O'Toole was actually asked about the film. And apparently he actually met people who knew Lawrence of Arabia as well. And some of them, when they actually saw him, even though Peter O'Toole was actually 6'2", and T.E. Lawrence was actually only 5'5". When somebody actually did see T.E. Lawrence, he actually pointed at Peter O'Toole and said, he looks like him. Not because he's white, but because they did actually have similar facial characteristics. Of course, anyone who lives in a desert community would naturally know, well, that was a good guess, actually. Anyone who actually lives in a desert community would know that the desert is clean because a lot of the dirt, the rubbish, the garbage is actually driven out into the desert and hidden by the desert or swallowed by the desert. It actually gets shifted by the winds and it ends up underneath the sands, or better still, it actually gets piled up in one form of wind trap. And so, yes, if you are a desert creature, you like the desert because it is clean. It's also very, very hot. And at nighttime, it's freezing cold. If you've ever been, I've been in the desert, at least Well, twice actually. I've been in the desert in Morocco and in Egypt. And I can tell you, it is very cold at night. Very cold indeed. Good direct hit. And a bruiser medal out of that one. Of course, some of the filming for the film Lawrence of Arabia actually did take place in Morocco and actually over on the other side of Africa. Because of course it was a question of could they actually get free access or access to the filming areas may not have been possible at the time, because it was 1962 when they were filming the 61 actually, and they were filming, and it may not have been possible for them to actually film in the actual sites. They had to film some things near in Egypt, but some of the things they actually filmed over in the other side of Africa, in Morocco and the like. And I do recall that apparently after he finished filming, Peter O'Toole jumped in a Jeep and drove all the way from the film site all the way across to Casablanca to meet up with his great friend and fellow actor on the film, Omar Sharif, who was a professional gambler. And so he was playing on the tables in a Casablanca casino. And Peter O'Toole, who was just finishing off the last bits of the film, decided to drive all the way over. And the IS-7 is stopped, but we're only a few seconds away from shooting. Can we get a hit? I'm sure we can. Rounds out. Well, he got some splash and he stunned the guy, so if he does go down, he'll get the stun assist. No, it didn't happen there. There's only 3 enemies remaining in this battle. They've got the IS-7, an Object 268, and their T92 HMC. That IS-7 is a very active one because he's got 3 kills already. Not really surprising, because the IS-7 is actually a very strong tank. Oh, but now he goes down. And it's a Wizzy 111 GFT that kills him. So, only 2 remaining. And our rocket-propelled BZ-75 is on his way over to the other side of the map, trying to find the last remaining enemies. Well, the 268 suddenly turned up at his own cap area, and he's already starting to receive fire. Got 3 shells to get some damage. Oh, he got something! 160 hit points from that one, so it was a good shot. It's difficult to tell. This range, you're shooting from one end of the battlefield to the other, and it's a very long range shot, because of course you have to think of the delay. As I mentioned this in other videos, that you may be firing on a target and it may take 3 seconds for the shell to actually get there. Now he's using the wreck of that Arty almost as cover. ProvoBob's getting ready. He's going to fire on him anyway. Well, we don't know if that did any damage, but we do know that the last remaining enemy... Oh, it did! It definitely did. He's stunned, and he's lost some hit points. And the last remaining enemy, the T92, is down in the in that little river. It's a very difficult shot. The 268's been killed, and now they're all homing in, shouting mine, mine, mine on the T92. But can ProvoBob get the shot? Because he's running out. He's still got some seconds to go. He's got 1 round left. Oh my gum! He's run out of health. And he gets killed with the last shot. What a great ending to that video. That replay was superb because he got his a second class tanker out of that one, a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits, and most of all, he got the Faden's medal. It's very rare to get it because, of course, you have to kill the last enemy with the last round in your magazine. So not many Arties do get it, but a few. And his win rate on this one, 2,915, which is between Unicum and Super Unicum standard. I'd say Super Unicum. But what a game. And to get the Fadens on the last shot when the enemy had all but run out of health right at the last moment. Absolutely brilliant. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, we can see he didn't get the highest damage in the game because a Rheinmetall Panzerwagen on his team managed to get the high caliber and a Confederate for 5,464 hit points of damage, and he survived the entire game. Second highest damage went to the IS-7, yeah, that tough little tank, got 4,239 hit points of damage. And third place went to the Object 780 on the enemy team, 3,172. We can see that ProvoBob got 2,976. In fact, he was only beaten by 2 tanks on the enemy team and only 1 on his own team. So he's actually in 4th place when it comes to damage. When it came to kills, though, we can see top scorers were the Panzerwagen and the IS-7. Both got 3 kills apiece. 2 kills went to the T92 HMC, the Wizzy 111 GFT, and the Type 71 on his team. And on the enemy team, only their Object 268 managed 2 kills. And in 3rd place, yes, ProvoBob only got 1 kill, but he joins everyone else who only got 1 kill in 3rd place on kills. When it came to base XP, we can see top scorer was that Panzerwagen again. 1,281 went to him, 1,099 went to the TNH, and 821 went to the Wizzy 111 GFT, with ProvoBob in 4th place with 783. So he's not over 1,000. Only 2 players managed to get over 1,000, but he's certainly in 4th place. He fired all 16 rounds in the game, and usually if you're in a T92 HMC, that's what normally happens. You use virtually all of your ammo when you get to the full 15-minute mark. This one got to the 14 minutes and 26 seconds, so it was about to end anyway. And one way or the other, it would have ended. He got 5 direct hits on the enemy, none of them penetrated, but he did get 17 splashes. 2,976 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damaged 6 of the enemy, killed 1, so missed out on a Confederate by just 1 tank. And he got 1,056 hit points of stun assist off 16 stuns. On a premium count, he earned a profit of 51,260 credits. He got 5 bonds for this being tier 10, and 8,811 experience points out of this one as well, getting a mission completion bonus of 7,050. What a great game. Any game where you see a Faden's Medal 1 is a great game because it takes a lot of pressure to actually get that shell in the right spot at the right time to get the last kill with your last shot. So congratulations, ProvoBob. Yeah, he's sent us in so many replays. I've got a few of his still to do, more than a few actually. But yes, I will get those out as soon as I can. But yeah, that was a really good replay to watch. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this one a like, and thank you for watching.